So when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, I know a lot of people have the GOAT talk, and Tony Romo brought this up this week, part of the whole Super Bowl coverage promoting the game. You got to bring up different storylines about if Patrick Mahomes doesn't beat Tom Brady in this game, it's going to be hard for Patrick Mahomes to say that he is the GOAT, or people to argue that Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT. What do you think about that take?
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with it. I mean, I see where he's coming from, but to me, like the point he makes that's valid is like they're not going to play again, maybe once, but I doubt
Right.
it. And so, one part of this will have been answered, and that answer will stay forever. I think that's a fair sentiment. Now that said, when Floyd Mayweather Jr. fights Canelo Alvarez when he's 23 and Alvarez loses, I don't think it's like in perpetuity he'll never be considered as good a boxer. I think people are smart enough and know enough about sports to know when a matchup is clearly not the same. What
Mhm.
to me would be interesting is like I think the Bucks have a worse team. They're not going to be favored to win. And if Tom Brady pulls this magic out, which is not entirely impossible, that would be a significant win for me. But I think that the bigger thing in terms of comparisons down the road is just going to be I don't think anybody will play that long.
Mhm.
Tom Brady sort of straddles the old era. Tom House told me this the other day. I used it in a column. He's a longtime throwing coach, Brady's guy, Nolan Ryan's guy, Drew Brees' guy.
Yep.
He just doesn't think anyone will do what Brady has done because the money's too big. Tom straddled the world before. Those guys made good money, right? But it wasn't like, $50 million a season. And so the question is, what would motivate Patrick to play 20 more years? Because Tom's going to play till he's 45 unless anything happens. And so, I think if Patrick Mahomes played the same length of career and he continues down a path anywhere in the neighborhood of where he's already walking, he would shatter every passing record of the man. Yeah, I quoted Archie Manning a couple of years ago saying he thinks Mahomes could throw for 100,000 yards. And I don't think that's impossible. The question is, how can they build around him? How can you keep all these people? I mean, all the usual stuff. Will he get injured? Will he lose motivation?
Right.
I mean, there's no reason to think he won't have a long, great Hall of Fame career. But I think when you're comparing the two later, this game will mean a lot less than like whether he plays past 10 years. I mean, you play 10 years, make $1 billion, win 5 rings, and what's the point? I just don't know. It's way too early to know that they're going to have a comparable length of career in which a game in 2021 could ultimately decide who the greatest quarterback ever is. And then it's kind of unfair because Mahomes has a better team. He's playing better football.
Right.
They've just been back to the game. The Bucks are at home. I mean, there's all these things that football's not like a one-on-one sport. So those kind of comparisons, like Tony made me a little bit uncomfortable. But I do see where he's coming from. I just think it'll be differentiated by length of career, rather than this game itself.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think one of the things that I kind of took exception to was the fact that, kind of assuming that, Patrick won't win as many Super Bowls, right? And it's very true that Patrick, this could be his last one. That's very true. You see with Aaron Rodgers, he's only been in one Super Bowl, one Super Bowl. Drew Brees only has one Super Bowl. This is all very possible. But to say that, he doesn't have the possibility to win seven Super Bowls, if Tom Brady goes on, then at that point, what is your argument there? Because he lost this one to Tom Brady, does that mean that his seven Super Bowls are not as valid as the Super Bowls that Tom won? So that's just something. There's a lot that goes into that. There really is that whole conversation for goats or not. And I'm curious to what you think. You kind of touched on it already. Do you think the Bucks were the best team to come out of the NFC?
No, I don't. In fact, I'm surprised that they won. I would the Bucks I look at in two ways, right? When the Bucks defense is playing well, then I think they have a chance. But what we
Mhm.
saw this season was Tom was pretty consistent throughout. He's not the same quarterback he was in '07. Randy Moss is not out there catching balls for 1,500 yards, but he does have a very good supporting cast around him. They do block well enough to keep him upright. And then to me, they're going to win or lose based on how they play defensively. And they played great at the beginning of the year and were very good. They played poorly in the middle of the year and lost a bunch of games. And they got it together at the end of the year, not unlike the Chiefs last year, as they
Mhm.
got ready for their run. I think the Saints are a more complete team. I think the Packers are a more complete team. But you saw them go in and win both those games convincingly.
Right.
And that's the other thing I would say about Brady as we get close to this game. Like, how many times have we bet against him? How many times is he dead? How many times is it over? How many times is he old? Eventually, we're going to say that and we're going to be right. But we've
Right.
said it so many times. I mean, we collectively, and we've never been, like he's still playing at a high level. Now he's not playing at a Patrick Mahomes level. And I think to the point you just made, like, I thought that was an astute point. Like, there's no reason to think Patrick Mahomes can't do anything he wants,
Right.
Like,
Right.
there's
Yeah.
no reason to think he can't win 14 Super Bowls. I mean, they are that dominant and killing everyone. And yeah, the history would tell you it can't happen. And history would say things are going to be funny in the NFL and people are going to get hurt. And, it's just sort of that way. But to just sort of now say, like, oh, he's only going to win two and it'll be these two, that's crazy. Just as it's crazy to say
Yeah.
he's for sure going to win this one. Like, there's no reason to think that Brady can't do what he did against Green Bay in this game. Like, they're not, the Chiefs defense isn't that formidable, to where it's like a level above. I think that they're a better defense than the Packers, but the Saints have a great defense. He did enough to win that game. So I would say, like, these things kind of get pushed around a lot before the game and stuff. I think
Hmm.
one thing I'm going to try to do on Super Bowl Sunday is just really appreciate what we're seeing. You have the
Yeah. Yeah.
greatest football player of all time and the guy who looks like he might be better than him. And that's pretty incredible to me. And I think that, it could be a dud of a game, but it could be something totally epic too. And we've had a weird year. Things are crazy in the world. Maybe this is the Super Bowl we deserve after 2020, and maybe it's going to live up to everything that has been said about it, before the game kicks off.